Hey guys, I know you're not used to seeing this type of video from me, and I'm definitely not used to making a type of video like this, but regardless of that, I just wanted to update you guys really quick on my injury, where I've been, and kind of what you can expect to see on the channel coming soon. So as some of you probably know, especially if you follow me on other social medias, back in June at dunk camp I suffered a pretty bad back injury. No one's at fault but myself. I was being careless. I pushed my body way too hard and completely ignored previous injuries, and I suffered for it. But nothing can be done, and ever since then I've been rehabbing, slowly building my capacity to train pain-free back up, slowly getting my weight room numbers back up, and we're almost there, as you can kind of see in the background. So I did have to change my squat style up a little bit. I'm currently going into like a quarter squat, almost a half squat, and that's just so I can train pain-free. If I go too far, it completely re-aggravates my back, and I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm doing a kind of sport-specific squat right now, only going to about where I end up on an actual jump. Now, this clip right here did take place during rehab, but it's pretty unrelated to the topic. I just added it so I could talk a little bit more about the last subject. So it took me pretty much the entire recovery process to build up that much weight on my squat, and with that depth. For a while, I could barely even squat up 135 pounds without crippling pain, so those videos are major wins for me. So this isn't really back rehab, but I've never really taken my upper body training seriously as a dunker, and during my rehab process, I just wanted to kind of see where I could finally get it to. I really enjoyed doing this, and I actually got my bench press up pretty high, as you're about to see in a second. I do want to hit 225 one day, and I think it'll happen sometime this year. But now it's time to get into the good stuff. Right after this is going to be the jumps that you guys have been waiting for. So this right here is actually my first official dunk in months, ever since dunk camp. It took me a long time to build up my capacity to even get to that point without pain. And now what we're kind of getting into is a very light standing vert session. Now, the entire focus of this session wasn't to throw down any crazy dunks. It wasn't to jump high. It wasn't to try extremely hard. It was literally just to see if I was capable of jumping pain-free, and thankfully I was able to do that. Now, I just want to very briefly mention the fact that I have a severe mental block in my head before each and every single one of these jumps. And that's just because I've had multiple attempts to come back from dunking before all of these videos you've seen here. And each and every single time I would jump and it would just completely re-destroy my back, set me back even further each and every time. So even just working up to try these dunks was just absolutely terrifying, and I was afraid of re-injury. Now, what you're seeing here is pretty much the exact same session as the previous one. However, I raised the intensity up a tiny bit. I tried to jump a little higher, and I was trying more dunks just to kind of test the capacity of my back since I was pain-free the last session. Now, as you're about to see in a few seconds, we actually added in some walking approaches, and this was absolutely terrifying if you remember what I was saying about the mental block. Before, when I tried dunking, the walk-up jumps were actually the ones that completely re-injured me. So this was major progress, just mentally and physically. Now, I was able to actually try some windmills at the end of this session. Unfortunately, they didn't go down because I was still a little scared of jumping too hard. But again, the goal wasn't to do any crazy dunks. The goal was literally just to see if my body was capable of doing those walk-up jumps, and thankfully I succeeded at doing so. And now we're into the next session. Now, same as last time, I raised the intensity. I tried harder. I tried to jump higher, only because I was able to complete the last session completely pain-free. Now, the goal of this session was to raise intensity ever so slightly, so I made it my goal of actually making a windmill this session to force myself to jump a little harder. Now, as you're about to see in a second, I actually made a windmill for the first time in forever, and it was such a major boost in confidence. It took a big chunk out of the mental block I had, and it was just amazing. So pretty much the rest of the session, I just kept on jumping harder and harder. I kept trying windmills just to make sure my body was able to do all that. And thankfully, I did it all pain-free. And now in a second, you're about to see something crazy. Throughout this rehab process, I've been really working on my left-handed dunks. And I was actually able to make a left-handed windmill barely trying. That's big for me because in the past, even if I tried as hard as I possibly could, I could not make a left-handed dunk to save my life. So that is just major progress, and I think once I'm back to 100%, I'm going to have some really cool left-handed dunks to show you guys. Now, the session you're currently seeing is really similar to the last one. I didn't really raise the intensity that much because, again, the mental block was there. It was scaring me. But I got some reps in. Came can't really complain. I was pain-free, so that's progress. Now this session right here was actually a major breakthrough for me. So like I mentioned in the last session, I didn't raise the intensity because of the mental block. I was just too scared to do so. So this session, I made sure to jump harder than last time to really get some progress down. And going forward, this was really good for my confidence overall, and it allowed me to try some dunks that you're seeing right here, and it's going to play a big role in the sessions coming up. Now with all the recent success, I finally decided to go to the OG court to have a dunk session. The main goal of this day was to raise intensity far higher than it's ever been, to see where my capacity truly stands, and to make some really cool dunks. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, or I don't want to talk too much, so I'm going to let you guys enjoy this video like it would be any other YouTube video. I might talk a little bit more later to go over some things, but yeah, enjoy. Ooh. So as absolutely incredible as that dunk session was, I did get really greedy at the end and I ended up over jumping while trying this dunk. And in the process, I actually flared my back up, as you're about to see, in just like 2 seconds, and here it goes. Now, thankfully, the flare-up was pretty minor. It only lasted a few days, but the only thing I changed is this session right here. I actually dialed the intensity back just a little bit, just to make sure I can get jumps in, but I wanted to really make sure to respect the pain that I caused. Yeah, but things are still looking up. Now, I really hate to tease you guys like this, but all that progress led to this crazy most recent session of mine where I pushed my intensity far higher than I have in recent times, and I actually hit some pretty crazy dunks. So that being said, make sure you're subscribed, have the notifications on, and are ready for the next video.